I first saw Local Hero on TV, so I guess that would have been a year after it was in the cinemas. I also owned a copy of the soundtrack before I had seen the film, and I had played it to death. It feels a teeny bit nervous-making to be taking on such a much-loved classic and bringing it into a new medium, especially on home turf. So the first time I saw the film, it was like a film accompanying a soundtrack that I knew very well, and subsequently over the years I watched the film many, many times. I mean, I adore it and have continually gone back to it to try and see if I can figure out how Bill got that very particular tone that he's got in the film, which is like nothing else I can think of. When David Greig first mentioned it to me, my first sort of reaction in our first conversation was, that I knew the soundtrack so well that in lots of ways it was almost like an adaptation of a soundtrack and the film, as it were, because Mark was obviously going to be involved and expand on his work that he had done for the film. And the second thought was, the film does landscape so beautifully and effortlessly. And landscape and the effects of landscape isn't normally the kind of thing that you would normally expect to see in a piece of theatre, much less in a piece of musical theatre. And I thought that was a really interesting challenge to set ourselves. Adapting it for the stage began with a couple of meetings with Mark Knopfler, Bill Forsyth, David Greig and myself. And we spent a lot of time then talking through tone and talking through an approach to it and trying to pin down what it was. Is it just about one man's journey? Was it a picture of a marriage under strain, looking at that a bit more? Was it about a community? And of course it's about sort of all of those things. I mean, we've got a very funny and lively bunch of actors, so it's a very happy rehearsal room, and there's a lot of fun in there, and it's a room that I'm always very happy to go into every morning. But it's absolutely right that the place that we should be meeting our first audiences is here in Scotland. There's no question about that.